Hello, everybody. So I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everybody. I've been getting a lot of, thank yous and people saying I've really helped them out. That's what this is all about. Now that I've said that, I know there's going to be a backlash, and I'm going to get people saying, "Oh, these are crappy videos." So it kind of goes both ways all the time. So it's like every time I say thank you, somebody's like, you're not that great. So it's like, well, that's all right. Whatever. I do the best I can here. So let's talk about today's video. Today's video, we're going to be bouncing the entire drum set. Now, I love doing this kind of stuff because I even learned something today that I didn't know. And as you know, I made a video, I think it was a few weeks ago, where I said everything I know about the stereo inputs. So I learned something today. So we're going to go talk about that. So let's start with what we're doing. We're going to do a bounce. A bounce is quite easy to do. I'm going to do a full bounce of the drum set that I recorded for Adios, Au revoir, the Lawrence Welk song. Now the thing is when you do a bounce, you can bounce as much as you want. Now you might ask yourself, why do I want to bounce? I do bounces all the time when I'm doing guitar tracks, because if I have two rhythm guitar tracks, I will bounce them onto one stereo track. That way I can just pull it up and down, and I'm dealing with one track that handles both sides of the guitars. And since it's pretty much the same sound on each side, it's just done for widening. It's just a better option to do for that. So now that we've discussed that, so in this case, I'm doing the entire drum set. Why would I do the entire drum set? Because just maybe, I want everything on one stereo track, because I'm going to use all the rest of my tracks for other things, and because right now the drums tracks are 7 tracks, so that's why. So 7 tracks that I'm wasting or using, I can then combine them all into one stereo track, and then I save myself 7 tracks, and then I can move on with my day. So let's go over to my camera here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up your stuff. So I've got all my drums set up here. So 1 to 7. So if you're curious, 1 snare, 2 kick, 3 tom. So 3, 4, 5 are toms. 6 and 7 are the overheads. So that's how it worked out. Now on the mixer, let's go to the mixer now. What I have done, this is something I just learned today. So if you go to track 1, you'll see that, if I go to track 1, you'll see that I'm using Send Effect 1. And I'm using the pre on it. And I'm using it all the way up. So what I thought, now one thing that I like to do is with the snare, because I usually gate it so that I just get the psh, I want it to play more. I want to hear more of it. I'm going to show you that in a second here. So what I do, in this case, I'm using the internal effects. So I got plate reverb on, and I got all nice set up. The return is all the way back. I found it was very faint if I didn't do this. So I'm just going to solo track 1 right now, and we're going to listen to the snare. So we're starting. So I added reverb to just pull the snare out a bit more. So now, like I said, what I learned, what I learned is that now as you know, if you use the internal effects here, they go into the stereo bus, so into this section down here. They're not assigned because you're not assigning a track to it. I have G and H assigned, but I can clear that because I'm not using any track. I'm not using any inputs on this. This is all internal. But it reacts the same way. It uses the stereo bus channel as its own avenue into the system. And what I learned today, which I can add to what I learned about what I know about the stereo bus and the internal effects when you bounce, it will record them. I didn't know that. That is new for me as well. So it's kind of cool because that just allows you to go even further with things if you're using the internals to do other things to the song. So now I've got all this stuff up. Let's go back to the mixer for a second. So track 1 is snare. Yes, I have it reverbed. I have nothing else reverbed. As you can see, everything else is flat. This is if you're going to, like, this is the time where if you want to tweak it to what you want, this is where you do it, because you're bouncing it to 2 tracks. You're losing the ability to work with the individual tracks. So you want to make sure that it's all tweaked here. That's what you're looking for. So in this case, so I have it in the center. I have the high tom is panned to the left. Middle tom is in the center. Floor tom is on the right. And then I have this. I have the overheads fully panned left and fully panned right. That is because they are the overheads, and that's what they do. So we have 7 channels, and we are setting up to do a recording of the drums onto track 3132. That's what we're going to use. So we're using a stereo track. Do you have to use the last track? No. You can use any tracks you want. The one difference would be if you tracked it onto, say, a mono track. You have the track set to mono. That means that your stereo pans in that won't work. It'll just all kind of into that one track. That's how that works. So that's your call if you want to do that. Like I said, I generally use this to take 2 mono tracks of guitar rhythms and then move them over into their own stereo track, because I've now freed up 2 mono tracks, and then I can use the stereo track to work the guitars, and then it's all panned on one. So as I pan, I'm not fiddling with 2. So that's just an added bonus to this whole thing. So now let's talk about bouncing. The bounce button, which is over here, it's the 3rd button down, 1 3rd button over, bounce. As it's lit up now. Now this changes everything. First thing is you'll see it says bounce on your menu screen. That means you are in the bounce mode. Now you want to select which channels you want to bounce. You can have everything full and you're just doing certain ones. You don't have to, you can just do that. So you can even go like 1. So you select the channels you want. Why it's not working. There we go. Select. So I could do this. That means that only 1, 3, 5, and 7 are getting bounced. But in this case, these are all the channels that I want to bounce. But yeah, you can select whichever channels you want. They don't have to be in any order. They don't have to be beside each other. They can be whatever you want. And then to select which channel you want to record to, you push the record button. So 3132. Next thing is, let's just go on to 3132 for a second. So we'll go into mixer. Now that we've gone into mixer, as you can see, bounce is flashing, and the reason it's flashing is you're under the bounce setup, but you're not in bounce mode. You're in mixer mode. So now I'm gonna select 3132. Make sure that I'm at the null, right at 00. So 0.0 for dB. Another thing, these channels, you can fade them any way you want. If one's too loud, you can bring it down, you can bring it up, you can do whatever you want with this. You can even do it while you're doing the bounce. Like you can fade up and down and then change the sound as you work it. Yes, there's also the group fader. I've used that before to do certain things. I've talked about that one. There's a whole bunch of things I still have to talk about on this thing, which I haven't even played with. So, yeah, so now we're all set to go. And it's a simple press record and go. Now the other option is, what I do is I do the auto punch. So there's auto punch right there. And then I will set it for, I want to start here, end here. That way I can, if I'm not playing with any of the settings, I can go away, come back, and it's done. That's what I like about it. So I'm just going to record a short snippet, nothing long. So we'll go back to menu. So we are, oh, no, go back to home. We're back in bounce mode. As you can see, bounce is solid. It says bounce at the top. It's ready to go. So we press record. All right, that's enough. So now I've recorded 16 seconds worth. Now, how do you listen to this? Because right now it's in bounce mode, so it's going to only listen to what's set. So you don't touch anything on the board because you don't want to mess it up. You want to hear how it sounds. So you turn off bounce. I will usually select solo, and then I will select the channel that I did the bounce on. So now, as you can see, solo is on, bounce is on, and then we press play. And now you're only hearing what was recorded on the bounce. The other option to do this is you can, if you want, you don't have to use solo. So turn off solo. You can do mute, and you can mute all these channels, and then go back and just listen to it again. But as you can see, if I can prove it, turn off the effect. As you can see, it did record the effect. So the stereo bus works in bounce mode. That was one thing I didn't know. So that's today's video. I hope this helps you out. I don't have anything else to say about it, really. Bouncing is good. I did do a video to see if there was degradation on a bounce, and I think I bounced like 8 times. I went from one mono track to another, and I just kept going down the line and bouncing each one. So like taking 1 to 2 and then taking the 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 7, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. And it didn't degrade at all. So you can bounce a lot on a digital system, not worry about it. Can you do that on the Model 24? That's a question I haven't asked myself, because that is more analog, but the final result is still digital. So it's hard to say, because I think with the cassette systems it was because even though your board is analog, you're going into an analog recording device, whereas what it plays back may not be exactly what it played the first time, and so it might change. It's a hard one to call. So, but that's my video today. I hope this helps you out, and once again, thank you for watching. I love each and every one of you, and it's so nice to hear from you, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Talk to you later. Bye.